So one question,
Spot
Mamta,
on.
is that so has someone defined a standard set of packaged business capabilities for these banks as you start to identify this?
Yeah, so good thing. The Gartner did talk about composability, but of course, Gartner was looking across the whole businesses, not just focusing on financial services industry. So yes, they did not go ahead and say, okay, for financial services industry, these should be a packaged business capability. In fact, every organization is left to themselves to identify what their capabilities are going to be. However, the good thing was that the time kind of coincided in a sense that BIAN had already identified certain sets of capabilities, which in BIAN terms is called service domains. And when we looked at the concepts of service domains and we looked at the concept of packaged business capability, realized that they actually resonate with each other very much. So literally, if we are to go back into look at BIAN and looked at the service domains, we realize that there is so much of synergies that we can actually lift and shift the concept of a service domain and probably platform it or rename it as a packaged business capabilities for financial services industry itself. The other aspect that comes with it is that what should be the right size of that packaged business capability as well, because depending on the organization, everyone might just end up deciding, I'm just going to take an origination as one of the capability. They might want to call it a packaged business capability. But what's the starting point of origination? What's the end point of origination? Some people think that origination is actually also includes the sales side of it. Other things that even the servicing is part of the origination. So there's no boundaries to that capabilities in the financial services industry. But if we are to use BIAN as the starting point to define the capabilities in the organization, it has a very well-defined boundaries of each of the service domains, and then with that, it can consistently we can map out these capabilities in the bank, and then it could become a mutually exclusive, collectively exhaustive set of package capabilities that we need to. We may not choose to build everything as a package capability today, but it gives us a roadmap of eventually we should be able to build all of our service domains as the package business capability in the financial services industry. So with that, if you move to the next slide, we kind of looked at, okay, so what were the guiding principles of defining a service domains and what are the guiding principles of defining a composable package business capability? And they kind of very nicely aligned to each other. So BIAN had used 6 principles, which they called as their DNA for defining the service domains. And they talk about separation of concern. Says that no two service domains which is defined in the organization should have the same concern. So if I have a service domain which is talking about payment initiation, there's nothing else in the whole service domain landscape who could do the initiation of the payment except for the payment initiation service domain. So it provides that separation of concern. They also looked at encapsulation, that everything which is required to fulfill the role of the service domain should be encapsulated within the service domain itself. And both of them is almost the same as autonomy. So like it should be able to operate as autonomous service centers as the capabilities itself. Similarly, loosely coupled interoperability, which lends itself to be a modular characteristics, which composable architecture talks about. Reusability, service orientation. So there is quite a bit of synergy between the package business capability which Gartner had proposed and the service domains which are there in BIAN itself. So it is a very good starting point to lay out the architecture of your organization, especially if you're a bank, with starting with BIAN. BIAN has already identified around 327 different elemental capability, which we call as service domains. And just an extension to it, there are service operations. So if you remember, the package business capability is supposed to have an APIs and they have supposed to have events. BIAN has already gone ahead and defined what those operations are supposed to be exposed at API, what those service operations should be exposed as events. So it is a good, good cheat sheet, if I must say, to design your enterprise. And they've gone ahead to define also the APIs, which are at the semantic level, but they can very easily be extended to as a physical APIs that you require for interoperability between these capabilities, business capabilities. So yes, I think that's a a good way to start if we were to look at designing the bank with a composable architecture.
And I think it's important for all of us who are joining in today and who are listening, to see that you don't need to reinvent the whole wheel. There is something that has been clearly defined as a blueprint, which probably can give you a good jump start. I call this as jump start or accelerated, where you understand, okay, what does this mean for our organization, right? So you don't need to pull in all those stuff. So you can probably pick up a couple of service domains to start with, which probably makes the most sense, and then do this in a more of an iterative manner. But just having this whole encompassing view of
Yes.
making this is a very powerful way to do that. And BIAN has done a phenomenal job of making this work. As I understand, Mamta and Nish, that you don't need to be a BIAN member to look at these resources. You can be anybody who's interested. If you are trying to look at open banking, you're looking at what are the trends, you can still go ahead and do that. Is that right?
Oh yes, yes. The any artifact which BIAN produces, this information set, it's a exhaustive set of artifacts that they produce. Anyone can go and refer it back. You don't have to be a BIAN member to have benefit from it. In fact, we have worked with a lot of organizations who are not BIAN members. I think the only benefit when you do become a BIAN member is that you can directly reach out to and to BIAN and are able to contribute back to the model, because there are
Right.
certain areas and geographies which might have a slightly different business function which BIAN may not represent at this stage. But if it is something of your relevance to the bank as a member, you can contribute back to the model, which we do expect, or we do want most and more organization to be member and contribute back, because today is the world of collaboration. Like everything gets innovation only happens by collaboration. So yes, the model is going to get more and more better if we are all contributing back to it.